Hello and welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast, where we'll be speaking with the Milwaukee-based punk band Bad Year about their band, their upcoming new music, and the state of Midwest punk rock these days. The band has released 2 EPs to this point with a couple of singles as well, forming in 2019. Obviously, in hindsight, that meant that right after creating the band, they had to take a massive hit from the pandemic. So the band name wasn't just a clever name, it was prophetic. We'll be speaking with the band about all of this and more right after this. You're listening to the Powered by Rock podcast with your host, Isaac Kuhlman. The Powered by Rock podcast was created to help showcase some of the best rock musicians in the world and to pass on to future generations the rock music that has inspired rock fans around the world for decades. We want listeners to be able to hear great stories and life experiences directly from their favorite artists, as well as dig deeper into music theory and talk rock like no other show you've ever heard. This isn't about looking cool, it's about getting real and having a great time. Without further ado, let's start the show. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast. Today, I'm happy to be speaking with Midwest punk rockers Bad Year, who have been actively releasing new music and playing shows since forming in 2019. And even with the shitty pandemic putting a stop to the world, the band is still pushing forward. Hey, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I know you guys are kind of new as a band in general, but I don't think that you guys are probably new to playing music. So I'm kind of like, curious like most people would be, but how did you guys all get together and why did you guys decide to put the band together? Obviously, we're not in high school anymore. Putting a band together at this stage, when you're 30s and above is kind of a different story than just saying, hey guys, you want to play some music in my basement and play some shows. But how'd you guys decide to start this band?
We met at a Britney Spears concert.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Love Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Me and Mike's favorite band,
And
Britney Spears.
Sean asked me to hit him one more time.
Yeah.
No.
So, no, in seriousness, Mike, have known Joey for many years, and I've known Sean for many years, and we grew up in the Midwest scene, playing in different bands.
And now we're in our 30s.
And,
well, most of us. And
yeah,
even me, I am in my 30s.
And so we had taken a hiatus, got into life and stuff like that. And Joey and I had gone our separate ways, and we decided to. Basically, Joey called me and wanted to reconnect, and we did that. And then we were like, kind of missed seeing each other and gazed into each other's eyes, and decided. He was living in Indianapolis at the time. I was living in Milwaukee, and we met up for dinner here in Milwaukee, and we're like, hey, let's just, we were talked about missing playing music together, and we just started sending some stuff back and forth, and that created the snowball that is Bad Year today.
I knew it happened. I kind of set it up. I made it happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that we're in our 30s now, I think overall, I think we're taking things a little bit more seriously. Sometimes maybe too seriously, sometimes not so much, but yeah, we still have a lot of fun. We have a lot of ideas always coming in and working on new stuff, and we have a lot of things that we still want to get out there. I think we're just getting started. We've only been together for 3 years roughly, So
the title of this episode is going to be like a romantic steak and wine dinner leads to pop punk band, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Britney Spears concert.
Well, Britney Spears, but
do they serve? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it was after the Britney Spears concert. Yeah.
That's why the tickets are so expensive. Steak, wine, all the attendees. Check it out sometimes. You gotta get on that.
So then obviously you guys came back together. The first 3 of you guys did, and then you decided to bring Jake on. What was the decision behind that and moving from a 3-piece to a 4-piece?
Well, Jake had been begging us for like 2 years. He's like, you guys sound like crap as a 3-piece.
It just got really annoying, and
he hated the band he was with.
Wouldn't shut up. We tried blocking him. We tried everything. He would show up on my doorstep at 3 a.m. in the morning.
So it was like a Fight Club thing where you're like, you're ugly, you're not good enough, get out of here. Hit him with a broom and tell him to go.
Eventually they had to let me in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, our studio sound had been expanding so much. and our live sound kind of just stayed the same. So it was the natural progression to add, you know, more guitars
and more facial hair, and Jake fit those needs
very spectacularly. Yeah. And it turns out he's just amazing at smoking meat. So
and he plays guitar.
So
I do.
Last but not least, he also plays guitar.
Yeah. So no, he had been in another band that we had played with, and we really liked his guitar work. And so when he had enough with that, he, you know, it was a simple fit. It made sense.
Cool. So then obviously shortly after you guys all kind of came together and started making music and decided to play again, then the COVID pandemic hit. What did you guys kind of do to kind of counter that? Were you guys still playing? Were you still practicing? Were you getting together, or was it pretty much you're all isolated from each other and trying to figure it all out?
It was definitely a learning experience. I think we handled it pretty well overall. We still, obviously there was times there when it got really, really bad and things were very prevalent that we had to like stop playing some shows or, you know, choose to not book some shows for a while and focus on recording, things like that. So basically, like a lot of the recording we do is all in-house, right? So it all can be done from the comfort of our own home, basically, in most cases. So we had already had the drum tracks done, thank God. I mean, no, that was actually during COVID. I did record drums during COVID and before, but it's hard it all kind of blends together. But yeah, we just kind of focused on what was accessible at the time and what we had at our feet.
Yeah. And I was going to say, because you guys obviously did go back out like most bands pretty much as soon as they started allowing bands to play music again, and you guys did have to cancel some shows or stop playing some shows. Was there ever a point where you're like, is this fucking worth it anymore? Like, what's going on? Like, this is going to take forever, and it just doesn't seem like it's ever going to come back.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt like that. I mean, these two had COVID a total of 18 times probably themselves. I've never even gotten it. I have not tested positive yet.
That you know.
Until tonight, yeah.
Until tonight.
Sean's coughing on him.
And just my immune system, I just load my body with a bunch of chemicals and
it's I mean, I think we got a lot of material of our newer material from this whole process, because, you know, we get excited, something will, you know, come up and we'll put it on the calendar, you know, and look forward to it. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, you're just a day or two out and it's just like, oh, it's canceled, you know, either, you know, the whole venue staff has COVID or, you know, anything like that. And
even one guy who like touched a speaker somewhere could have COVID and it cancels it. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And all you can do is be like, well, that's the life we live now. You know, like, it's just like, it's so frustrating because it repeats itself.
Yeah.
But you know, we find different ways to work around that and stuff, but it's hard.
I think we, for the most part, respected the COVID protocols overall. But there's also times where, like, we're going to play a house show and, like, it's probably not as bad as it seems. I, for one, don't believe all the fucking media and bullshit in the news. I'm not a big news watcher. That's just me. I've looked into the more of the research and public health stuff because I'm but yeah, there was times where we're like, we're on a roll, we're gonna keep going, everything's fine, like, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously now that it's kind of like to the point where I guess people just don't care anymore, like regardless of whether people are getting infected, sick, getting, you know, dying essentially. I think most of it's because people are like actively can choose to basically stop that from happening, but don't. So that's beside the point. But I think most people are like, it's back to normal. If you're sick, just seclude yourself. Everybody else do what you want, kind of thing, right?
For sure.
But it is crazy that, like, you know, like I had COVID after having 3 shots, and it was like absolutely had no symptoms. I only took a test because I was like, I woke up and I was like, kind of have like a stuffy like throat, and tested positive. And I was like, okay, well, isolate myself, but didn't have a cough, no fever at all. I was like, this is crazy. So spent like 6 days in my office here just by myself. It was like my wife was cooking and cleaning our house. I was like, well, this isn't so bad actually.
Yeah.
My whole house got it right at Christmas last year.
Yeah.
Just maybe 5 days before Christmas, everybody started testing positive.
Yeah.
It was right before they shortened the isolation period. So it was still 10 days from like the time that the last household member had tested positive, which was me. So it was a lot of togetherness time in the winter that we were not used to.
So it's kind of like The Shining. Is that what you're saying?
It got close. There's a lot of times where I just had to go in the car and listen to music for a while. You
didn't have like a built out like frozen corn maze in the back or anything that you're chasing your family through?
I would love if my yard were that large. I would, but I live in the suburbs, and yeah.
So I think one of you guys are actually like working in the medical profession field, right? Is that one of you guys were working like as an EMT or something like that?
Joey did a little bit. I did. I'm doing home health care right now. I'm semi-retired. When COVID was going on, though, I was a manager in a CVRF, like an assisted living home.
Gotcha.
We eventually did get COVID there, so it's due to short staffing. I had to go back to kind of caregiving, med passing, stuff like that. Yeah. And I worked in the COVID unit that we had for almost 2 months because there was almost nobody who could do it. A bunch of the girls that worked for me were pregnant and they couldn't go down with the COVID people.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. I do community outreach. That's what I do. Like I have a lot of interaction with people.
Yeah.
I'm a peer support specialist with a medical clinic, and I work with community paramedics, do community outreach, and just like I've been exposed to so many people over the last 2.5 years. It's crazy. Like that I never even tested positive for it.
That's because you're injecting bleach, clearly.
Maybe, yeah. I did cut back. But it's, I'm making progress.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
It's not that bad. It's not as bad.
So let's talk about the music, because you guys obviously have put a lot of effort into it. And, the first thing I noticed right away is you guys started releasing music that was clean, well polished, like immediately right out of the gate. It wasn't like you, releasing demo tracks or putting out like, some sort of like half-ass, recordings or anything like that got better. Yeah. So, and to me, it's very reminiscent of the late 90s skate punk bands, some of the fast beats, the melodies, all that stuff, but it also has the anthemic and melodic style of punk as well fit into it. So it's kind of like, wrapping up some of those really good bands from the 90s and kind of tying it all together. So I just want to know, what were some of the bands that you guys were influenced by over the years to create the sound that Bad Year actually has?
Well, for me, personally, I mean, a lot of Chicago, Midwest punk, mainly Chicago, the Lawrence Arms, Alkaline Trio, Rise Against, those are, Chicago heavy hitters, and those,
sure. I thought for a second you were just going to say the band Chicago. I was like, that makes so much sense now.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, 100%.
A little bit. We have to, Jesus, you keep coughing every second.
Kansas.
Yeah. No, Chicago's better.
So, we draw a lot from that, but definitely the late, you're
Anyone
right.
Play bass out there? Okay.
Trying extensively hard to channel the COVID
to. A lot of Fat Records. You can edit that out.
That's all right.
And, a lot of Fat Records bands like No Effects, Alkaline Trio, Blink, Men Singers,
Yeah, Menzinger's huge, even though they're not really Midwest, but they're
they're from
close.
Pennsylvania. It's fucking Midwest, basically.
Anything that's not touching the East Coast or the West Coast.
Yeah, exactly. Except I think it does touch.
But I mean,
Philly.
I appreciate a lot of different types of music and genres. So
sure.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, and Sean grew up listening.
Sean likes pegging.
Sean definitely likes the NoFX and Bouncing Soul.
Big Wig, Blink, obviously, Pennywise, kind of
nice.
all over the place, from the pop punk to like more of the hardcore,
Sure.
Hardcore, some Comeback Kid, love some hardcore.
Nice.
I love Comeback Kid.
What about you, Jake? What were you kind of drawing from for the last few years?
Before these guys, I hadn't listened to a lot of punk since the early 2000s, which like everybody did then, Yeah. But me and my buddy, we listened to Green Day and Blink and MXPX.
Green Day.
Forgot
about Green Day.
How do you forget about? What about MXPX? We used to listen to that a lot.
We don't.
Oh.
Sean,
just kidding.
No.
Just kidding, Mike.
Jake apparently liked MXPX.
I thought they were cool when I was 13 and 14.
They're so cool.
And Newfound Glory.
But I do want to kind of talk about some of these releases that you guys have. Obviously, you went on a tear in like 2020 and 2021, releasing pretty much all of your current music, including 2 EPs. Jake had forgotten about the acoustic one, which I had asked about before. I was like, is it 2 EPs or one? And it's the acoustic one, which obviously I don't think there's any drums on there, right? It's just guitars, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
guitar can be a percussive instrument, though.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I play guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Was there any reason that you obviously kind of, I clearly know the reason why you went with the acoustic EP, but was there any other reason that you kind of pushed all this music so fast right out of the gate? Or was it just like you guys were waiting to release it and it just happened like you had time to kind of put it all together then?
Well, with the Handshake EP that came out and then the pandemic slammed, and then you had everybody and their kid brother doing live streaming of acoustic songs. They couldn't get together as bands, so all these bands are now doing acoustic songs. So we're like, since we're all doing this anyways, we did a couple live streams of doing like acoustic stuff. We're like,
Sure.
Why don't we just put out an acoustic EP while this is all going on, since we're doing this anyways?
Yeah.
So that kind of came from the pandemic, not being able to release normal songs.
Our first show was an acoustic show, actually. So
was that a coffee shop?
We had been doing acoustic shows here and there too. So yeah.
Nice. Cool.
It felt like a good landscape to explore.
Yeah, and obviously you even took 2 of your kind of more popular songs, and Handshakes and Blackout, and you actually redid them as acoustic songs. So when you guys write, do you start out like acoustic guitar, or do you just pretty much start with like electric guitar or drums or whatever and then write a song? Do you guys do it all together, or is it pretty much one person? Because I can imagine like when you have to then change something from the way it was like recorded to then putting it to acoustic, there's a little bit of creativity that it takes to get it stripped down to something like that.
I think we're all individually strong, songwriters individually. So I think when someone really comes to the table with an idea, we kind of feed off each other, and then it becomes the band song, and we take input from everyone else. And Sean tells me what he hates about usually everything I write, and then pulls it apart.
Then he changes his mind.
He's like, it's not like Britney Spears. Redo it.
Then we're all confused.
Yeah. So, for me personally, just the acoustic guitar is so easy to write on just because it's there. And, I always have one in my house, and, you could just pick it up real easily. So I'd say actually for most of us, all our songs, except for Jake, start on acoustic guitars. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you guys all play different instruments, you can all play the few chords it takes to strum out a song.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or I'll just have an idea in my head, and then I'll just use my voice memo on my phone, and then I'll record it, and it'll sound really ridiculous.
Yep.
And then I bring it to the acoustic guitar. And then I bring
I do the same thing. I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Like, it sounds so awful on my phone. I'm like, if anybody ever heard this, they'd be like, do not make this a song. It's fucking terrible. But
we definitely we have a lot of that.
Mike has a phone full of those.
Yeah, I had to get a new phone because I was like, I don't even know how to put this on a hard drive.
Got the same phone since 2018.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
I do.
So I want to talk about one of your specific songs. Obviously, the first song, I believe, on the first EP, which I think it's a self-titled EP, if I'm not mistaken, but it's called No Use, which is clearly about Tony Sly from No Use for a Name.
Clearly.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not, then it's the most coincidental thing I've ever seen. I just have to ask you, what was the origin of why the song was actually made? I know a lot of people were really affected by his death. And it wasn't just people who knew him either. It was, a lot of, musical fans and everything. So I'm just curious, like, what's your connection with Tony Sly and why did you want to write a song about him?
I mean, he wrote the best melodies in the world. Some of the best lyrics I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Basically, words on our end could never describe how he felt to us. So we took the inspiration for the words in the song. Granted, the song doesn't really sound like a No Use for a Name song or anything like that. Sure. But all the lyrics do. So we just kind of took inspiration from that, and we're like, wow, we could just really kind of put, some of his, put it all together, really. And what better way to put it together than the words, can be transferred to songs that he wrote, and you can grab from his songs and his, without, what better way to say it than him himself.
Yeah.
That's a roundabout way of saying it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who's like, I've never heard of Tony Sly? What would you give them advice for, like, starting somewhere with maybe either a song or an album? Or
honestly, I would recommend his solo stuff. I think it's just like incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just me though.
And that's funny because Sean, I don't think, is the biggest fan of his solo stuff.
I love the acoustic one he did with
Cape.
Joey Cape.
Yeah.
I love that.
I really like that. I think he had 2 split albums with Joey Cape. I was like, damn, these are really good.
I wasn't a fan of the second one.
Oh, that's what you said.
I liked the first one.
They're both similar though. They're very. I mean, they're both. I
had more connections to the acoustic versions of No Use for a Name songs on that first split he did than the second one.
Yeah,
which they're not bad. It's just
I mean, I saw them I went to go see NoFX in Minneapolis in 2008, and I saw them open up for NoFX. It was like the coolest show, like one of the coolest shows I've seen.
I think I saw him at Riverside open up for NoFX. Tony Sly. Joey Cape wasn't there though.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, obviously, being from the Midwest, it's tough to even get many punk bands to come through in a vicinity to where you can go. I lived in a city adjacent to Bismarck, North Dakota, so we'd have to drive to Fargo or Minneapolis to see any type of good shows, or maybe Billings, Montana or something. It's like, nobody's coming to Bismarck, North Dakota to play a punk show.
A lot of bands don't go to Billings, Montana. I know that. Some do, though. Some do. Yeah. I do know that.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly like Taylor Swift and, John Fogerty and all these like old guys. But yeah. So speaking of being from the Midwest and Wisconsin, I know it may sometimes be pretty hard to get national exposure for a band because obviously Milwaukee's not exactly known as the, music capital of the country, like Los Angeles or Chicago or Nashville or New York or whatever. But give me kind of your perspective on what it's like living and playing there and trying to grow a band's, visibility.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I think it.
Okay.
The music scene since COVID has kind of fizzled out. A lot of people aren't really going to local shows anymore. They'll go to like the big show, that's coming through. But like, unless you're a really big, well-recognized, local name, you're not really getting people to come out. Like,
yeah, we actually do a lot better outside of Milwaukee than we do in Milwaukee. I would say building our fan base in Milwaukee has been one of the hardest things to do that I've ever experienced in my life. Whether I don't even think that's COVID necessarily per se, or just how like the times have evolved.
Yeah,
because of COVID. You know, it's just
we're
like
just too punk for people.
It's
You
just
know,
start going out to
we're
shows.
Bad Year is too punk for the normal person, and we're not even that punk.
I mean, I remember when I was in high school, you know, we all, that's what we did. We just went to every, like, there's a local show going on somewhere, we'd find it, and we'd show up. Even, you know, 10 years ago, like, that's what we were doing.
I
like,
think it's a lot of the all-age, like, there's not a lot of all-age venues here. It's all bars. Everyone, we're a drinking city.
I think that's kind of the, I was going to say, I think that's kind of where music is dying, is because all-age venues aren't really thriving anymore. Even here in Las Vegas, there's a ton of bars that you can play at, but there are very few all-age shows. So like any band that's, you know, under 30 trying to get exposure and come up really doesn't have a lot of their fan base who's, you know, it's usually like people who are like 8 to 10 years younger than you are, kind of like your fan base, right? So if you think about that, it's people that are under 21 in that scenario, and they can't even come see you because there's no place for them to watch you. So I think if there are more all-age venues, then yeah, sure, then kids will go to punk shows. What else they got to do? Especially in the Midwest, it's like, well, we're just going to go to the movies again for the 900th time this year, and there's no good movies anymore. So yeah,
there's definitely some barriers present there.
Yeah,
big barriers.
It's a big hardcore scene in Milwaukee. If you're a hardcore band or metal, you're going to do well.
Yeah, and that, I think that's kind of been coming for, I don't know, 20 years. I think since whatever you want to say, like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Tool, that whole scene blew up, and that kind of just, and I still, you know, I have my friends who in North Dakota who still listen to, you know, like Linkin Park and stuff like that, and I'm like, really? Like, I know that music was popular in the year 2000, but it's not exactly mainstream or even underground. There's not like underground bands like Linkin Park anymore, so I don't know why they're hanging on to that scene so hard, but it seems to be a thing in the Midwest.
It definitely is. 100%.
New metal? Yeah, we don't.
Butt rock?
I guess, maybe we should be a new metal band. New metal butt rock.
Take all your facial hair and like put it on your heads and make your like hair longer, so that way you can be more
mopey. Put our pubes on our,
Sure. Yeah.
Just get
still haven't grown one. Can you believe that? I still have 0 pubic hair.
I think there's a medication for that.
I might have the hairiest feet, but
it's all on Jake's face.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Jake loves it.
It's very comforting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are some bands obviously out there that are, you know, growing, I guess, an audience in the Midwest scene. And I know of a couple even from Milwaukee, you guys. I know Avenues. I know a couple other people that are kind of obviously out there. You guys are on Punkerton Records, which is like a Midwest label. What's your kind of perspective as some of the other bands out there that are helping grow some of the attention for the Midwest punk scene?
I mean, well, Avenues, you know, those guys have been doing it for some time, and they just pounding pavement, and they just released a record.
We played with them.
2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, they just released.
We used to play shows with them.
Yeah, we used to play shows with them a long time ago, back on our previous bands. Man, as far as current Midwest bands, Smoke Free Home out of Appleton. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I have.
They're making big waves now.
I did not know they were from Appleton, though. That's very interesting.
What was that?
I didn't know they were from Appleton, actually, which is interesting.
I could be wrong on that.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Green Bay. 94 Distortion.
Green Bay. And 94 Distortion out of Oshkosh.
Are they Oshkosh?
Oshkosh. Like that. This whole scene. Do you know like this Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin? You got Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin, and you got Oshkosh, Appleton,
Fond du Lac,
and then if you go up to Green Bay, like that scene right now is hitting it really, really hard. They get people to come out to their shows. Beast Sugar's doing really good, but they're like hardcore.
Longo Mountain. Yeah, but they're fucking awesome.
Yeah, but they're all the.
He's like, yeah, but it don't fucking matter because they're rock.
Trust me.
but like that's a really cool scene. That's a really great up and coming scene. And you know what, they like all the genres there cross too. Like you can, you know, like everyone gets along with each other. All the fans and stuff, you know, they can come and watch and love their shows. And you know, they got all ages venues up there. I think that makes a huge difference, obviously.
Yeah.
Or they don't card if you're playing at a bar.
That helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Although it does get tricky if you have any groupies, you're like, wait a second.
For sure.
Aren't old enough? Wait, what? Wait, am I somewhere else? Okay, I don't know.
Like I'm blaming the bouncer on this one.
Okay.
Right,
Yes.
it's not on us.
So let's talk about some of your songs, because I want to talk about some of the lyrics specifically. I know you guys obviously cover a lot of different topics, but I just want to use the last single here, like Killing Me, as an example. This song seems to be incredibly sad, as it seems to detail a relationship where the woman is contemplating suicide and the other person can't help her. Is this based on real life experiences, or is this something that's more inspired by a concept?
Whoa.
I might take this one.
Is that too deep, too personal?
If you guys out there in audio land, that was the mic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. So I would say it's a combination of experiences. Now, I'm not going to say that every, whether it was from my own personal experience or something that I've witnessed on my own, but it's more reality than concept, I guess you could say. And it's also meant to be, I guess, not unfamiliar to people who are just living their lives and struggle day to day. So like that is one of the things that we try to promote as well, is you know, be good on your mentals, take care of yourself and stuff like that. And you know, try to promote, you know, making sure that, you know, you're not everyone's going to have a good day. And not everyone has it good. So I don't know if you want to take over for any of that.
I think the song itself, yeah, there's some sad components to it, but I find it like really like inspiring and hopeful personally.
Yeah.
Maybe because I can relate to it almost too much, but I think just like the music, even just the instrumentals in it, it's very monumentous to me.
Yeah.
No, is there a dog walking around, or
I think that might be Jake's.
Yeah.
a cricket?
Sorry.
Okay.
It's just like
I can't believe you guys can hear that.
Killing Me is definitely like, I think it's the first song we wrote during the pandemic. I mean, together all as a band, and we it was the first thing that came to mind, and that was the first song we worked on, and it came to fruition. Mike was recording vocals out in my house, and then we just kind of ripped it as a demo, and then, you know, made some more versions of it. But it definitely turned out. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Sure.
The one thing I like about it is it doesn't seem to specify a particular moment so much as like maybe like how a relationship can devolve, or how one person has to try to feel like,
and that's exactly.
Oh, and then the connection.
That's interesting that you get that perspective on that. That you caught. It's interesting that you caught up on that perspective, or have that perspective of it, because the idea I get, and I guess I know now. I was saying it doesn't sound like it's not a concept; it's based in reality. But you know, a lot of people grab different parts of that song, and they mean different things to each and every one. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on some of the other songs, do you guys generally write more about your own experiences, your own lives, or are you using kind of more generic ideas? Because it seems like to me, some of the songs are general ideas, but then you have like this private personal component that's kind of sticking to the backside of it somehow, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think like I think we do a good job, and especially some of our recent singles, like separating the verses and the choruses to maybe focus on two different perspectives within that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Killing Me is like the chorus, it's just like very deep, but then but before you get to that chorus, you have a lyric that cuts, pretty hard. And leading into that.
Yeah.
And I think we do a good job with transitioning and finding that that contrast between telling a story or just writing what sounds good. A lot of the times I think the songs write themselves in our case.
For sure.
Well, I didn't want to, because I as I was asking the question, I realized that the way the interview was going before I asked the questions and the way that it started to go after I asked the question, it was like, I think Mike's brain busted at one point and he was like, oh snap, I got to switch my brain from having fun to talking about something serious all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The subject matter, like we have fun, but there's a very, this is a very serious undertone to, what we do.
Yeah.
And, what we promote as a band. Besides, we try to write the best sounding music, of course, but we also try to give, a sense of hope and shit.
Yeah, I think
but we're really funny guys about it.
Yeah,
like
I'm going to change the title of this episode to we're trying to inspire hope and shit.
Yeah, Bad Year. Bad Year's about hope and shit. Serious. Well, we're super funny about it because we've all been there, and we're just like, fuck, man.
Yeah. It's funny that Mike says that because when I write a song, I always try to write kind of about the opposite.
But yeah, Sean dared me this week. He's like, I bet you can't write a fucking sad song about a window or some shit. Or what was it? It wasn't the
alleged.
No. It was like a hose or a taco or something. He's like, write a song about a taco.
Yeah, that's what I song about. But like when I wrote Blackout, I wrote it about a serial arsonist. It's not anything about like what we normally write. I wrote it about a serial killer basically. So it's
also not very funny though.
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like the idea is like completely reversed and opposite when I write a song. It's usually pretty dark. I try to, but
it's dark.
Yeah, you're definitely. You must have listened to a lot of Alkaline Trio growing up because I feel like that's what all their songs are about is like murders and arsonists.
A lot of elements like earth, wind, fire, water into our songs.
Kansas.
Shut up. What?
Okay, earth, wind, and fire. I thought
you had something to say.
I thought you were naming.
You said Kansas.
Yeah, I thought you were naming bands.
No, like the elements. That's why I said.
The elements. Gotcha.
You can see why things get.
I take it from just the banter in this episode that you guys get into disagreements a lot.
All the time.
No, we don't. Wait, no, we don't.
We fucking dude.
We're disagreeing about that right now.
Joey, come on now.
No, we don't.
I'm telling Mom.
So one thing I think that you guys also do that's pretty cool is you find a way to artistically make your music videos interesting as well. I think you've worked with a couple different directors from what I can understand, but I'm curious about your process for music videos. Do you already have an idea what you want to do going into the video, or are you pretty much letting the person who's filming and directing it kind of come up with the concepts?
I think, okay, so our first music video, Handshakes, right? Half of it was filmed in the back of a U-Haul.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it snowed a foot that day.
Yeah,
and there was no heat.
It was freezing, yeah.
So you couldn't even return the U-Haul after the day? Like, God damn it, I guess it's a 2-day rental now.
No, we were able to drive it out of the parking lot. But
nice.
it was that was super fun though. Like it was like January. I think
we did plan that out though. Like, we're like let's film us playing in the back of a U-Haul. I wanted us to be driving around
Oh, that
They were afraid of that.
Yeah, we were like, no. But no, we actually before we filmed that one, like we were just getting going.
Storyline, kind of.
Yeah, we had a storyline. We met with the guy who filmed it.
Eric Dolster.
Eric Dolster, name drop. Amazing filmographer. And he sat down and we like talked about it. He listened to the song, you know, we thought about the concept for it, and he's like he was great. He was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do.
And then after that, Blackout.
Yes.
Blackout was literally just like
Blackout.
we were in one scene. Like our friend Aaron, who is the co-owner at the Miramar, or owner, Miramar Theater in Milwaukie. We asked if we could rent out the space for like a day, and we just used one.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on the floor of
the
venue, and we just used that one space, and we had plenty of room to work within there, and I think it turned out awesome for what we had. Like all we had was some smoke and some lights, and that's all we fucking needed in our instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty epic. It looks like one of them videos that they would have done for like, you know, My Chemical Romance back in the early 2000s or something like that.
Shit, yeah.
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 Yeah, and then,
I love My Chemical
and then
Romance.
Killing Me kind of
Killing
Me kind of
the
like
same
Yeah, we had the same director for Killing Me and Blackout. Yeah.
He's now doing stuff for Hollywood. Look at
Yeah,
that.
I would like to say that him filming those two things got him hired in Hollywood, which he's like,
yes, we can take some credit for that.
yeah. He's now like doing Star Wars.
Hi, Christian.
I don't even things we're
We-
probably not supposed to talk about,
remember
but
our names?
He's
Too famous.
yeah.
He's Hollywood.
So yeah,
Christian.
He's like,
Hey,
thanks to those
Christian-
bums in Milwaukee, I'm famous now.
yeah. And Christian was really good. Also, you know, the people that we, I guess you could say we choose to work with. We kind of, you know, I feel like we've been in this before, like in these situations before, as younger adults, that we kind of know
What not to do.
So I feel like our decision making is a little bit better. So that's why I feel like, you know, we kind of got some good things going on.
He also floated us the direction to Rad.
Yeah, and the guy who how do I want to say? Sean can say it because my brain lost.
What? Yeah.
Christian, who recorded our last two music videos, he recommended that we work with
The producer that we're working with.
Nicholas Radnovic.
Nick Rad.
Gotcha.
Hi, Mr. Rad.
Hi, Mr. Rad.
Mr. Rad. He makes it sound amazing.
He's great at what he does. So yeah, he's putting out fucking Billboard hits every other fucking week.
And then he works with us.
Yeah, Billboard hits. He's selling. You know, he just got a gold record last week, and
it wasn't from us, but
and then as a charity, he's like, all right, I'll take your guys' case for you.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, we'll do this one.
He feels bad. He doesn't want us to go home.
He's like,
He doesn't want us to go to the street. You know?
Yeah, he's just like, this is so sad. This
He's
Milwaukie
like, this is
band.
pathetic. I can't let these guys die on me. These guys will die.
Speaking of which, you guys are currently creating new music, and you're trying to put is it a full length album or an EP together?
So should we tell him?
Yeah, it's gonna be an EP.
It's gonna, but it's so like we'll just drop it. It's gonna be
Breaking news.
breaking. It's gonna be EP, then it's gonna be an EP right after that, and then it's gonna be a full length.
And is that the two EPs together?
No,
it's a whole
all
separate
new,
EP.
All different.
All different.
Nice, very cool. And this going to be in the next, I guess, 12 to 18 months? Then is that what kind of the plan is?
Oh yeah.
In the next 3 months, we'll have 2 EPs.
Yeah, so 3
Nice.
months you're gonna get 2 EPs, and then in the next 6 to 8 months you're gonna get a full length probably.
And we're going to start recording that in January.
Yep.
Wow, awesome. And this is all through Punkerton Records, I assume. Then
Yeah.
Yep.
Brandon from Punkerton, he's like, yeah, he's on it. He's doing great things.
very cool. And you guys are like I think you were saying earlier, you're doing all the recording in house. So you guys are recording it through your guys' own equipment, and then are you doing the mixing and mastering elsewhere, or are you doing this stuff somewhere else?
So it's so the 2 EPs,
The 2 EPs will be mostly at home, like in home.
So the drums we record
recorded in the studio.
Yeah, drums we record in a full-on music studio. All the bells and whistles.
Yeah, those are pretty hard to record at home without a really good setup.
Right, and we are actually, you know.
I saw your Instagram of your building up the home studio.
Yeah,
you should show them the
vocal
booth we're building right now.
I think that's podcast, not video cast.
Oh, it's right over there.
Yeah, it's over there. It's right over there.
So, if you want a tour.
Yeah. So we're so
the 3 we have 2 EPs. The most of the stuff, the guitars and vocals, we're doing in house, right? The full length is going to be more so
full on studio. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool.
So we're lucky enough that we do have good enough equipment that we can do the vocals and guitars, you know, with it sounding like it's done in a studio.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a studio, really. What's your definition of a studio?
Yeah. It's a place where you can record, right?
Right.
I've recorded albums in my fucking living room.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For sure.
So I was talking with you, Jake, earlier about you guys are going to be doing some tours or shows, I should say, not tours, but some shows soon. And then obviously you're going to take a break for another COVID winter. And hopefully you don't have to cancel anything during that. But what are kind of the shows that you guys have coming up here?
So we are going to be in Indianapolis, November 19th, Saturday at Punk Rock Night at the Melody Inn. It's kind of like our second home for sure. We have a lot of friends down there. Really great scene down there. So we'll probably go down there and get, some tattoos and go to, our favorite spots and see some.
Get blind drunk and get a tattoo and wake up in an alleyway somewhere.
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. And then, December, I think it's December 15th in Janesville. We're playing a show at Zock's Social Club. And then in February, we will be doing a show in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, with some of the bands and friends of Punkerton Records.
When is this going to be aired?
I think mid-November. So all that stuff you should be good still.
All right. Good.
I think it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks away at the most.
I think there's some stuff that wasn't supposed to be said that will be said.
I already said.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll let you know for sure, but I think it's 3 to 4 weeks from now.
Good.
So
it's all good. We don't care. We like getting in trouble for that stuff.
We're going to be opening for Blink-182 at When We Were Young next year.
No, they're going to play on my birthday.
You add us to When We Were Young.
We're not playing When We Were Young.
Totally on it. We're already on it right now. They have our name on there.
You can't mute them.
Didn't you see my totally photoshopped mock-up of that poster?
No.
Cool. So obviously, guys, we'll add some links to you guys' music and all the information that you guys have about the upcoming shows to the notes below this episode. But do you have anything else that you'd like to plug or any shout outs that you want to give or anything you want to say before we go today?
So our managers tell us Instagram. So if you guys can follow us on I think @ is implied, right?
Bad.year. Doesn't matter.
@bad.year. Follow us. Tag us.
Should we try that again? We're gonna have to edit that.
Damn, we don't have to edit anything.
Hey, follow us on fucking Instagram.
Sorry, screwed it up. @bad.year.
Okay.
Instagram, follow us. And follow us on Spotify and all the Apple Music and stuff. Because there'll be a bunch of new music coming.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And then one last question before you guys go today. What new music other than Bad Year would you guys recommend people check out?
The Flatliners.
Nothing Nowhere.
What was that?
Nothing Nowhere.
Okay.
The band Doubter from Milwaukie is actually pretty cool. I've been listening to them. They're also a punk rock band. Doubt, like I have Doubter.
Sure.
But they're pretty cool.
I doubt that.
Knuckle Puck.
What?
Listen to Knuckle Puck too.
Oh yeah.
Nothing?
Nothing.
I already said mine.
Neck deep.
Hey, Blink-182's back together.
Yeah, they sure are.
Listen to some fucking Tom DeLonge.
Buy some like $3,000 concert tickets. Hey, our concert tickets will not cost you $500 a ticket. They'll cost you maybe $5, $10.
And we're just as good.
We're just as good.
We're like great value Blink.
Right.
Just as good and a lot cheaper.
Walmart brand.
Yeah, we were told we were great value Blink-182.
That's a real review.
That's a real review. And we're like, at least we're not going to take all your money.
Hey, I took that as a compliment. Yeah.
I'll take that.
I'll take that for sure.
We're like
Nice.
the rollback prices.
Yeah. Yeah. Roll it back.
We're going to roll back concert prices all the way back to the year 1975.
Yeah. $5. Fiver gets you in and a beer.
And a beer.
And a beer. A beer.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank today's guests. Obviously, Bad Year, Milwaukee's best punk band right now. I don't know if you're the best, but I'm going to say you're the best. So
Don't take it back.
I don't know them all,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to assume you guys are on the show, so you must be good, right?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being on the show today. Make sure to go to show notes below this episode to check out the music because they're a band you'll probably hear more about in the very near future, just like we were talking about. You'll see all those cool EPs and the new LP coming out very soon. So I think you'll want to make sure you check that out. Also, guys, remember the Powered by Rock podcast is powered by our listeners. If you want to show us some support, please be sure to subscribe and share the podcast on social media. You can also make a donation to the podcast. Not necessary, but you can if you want to help us keep making some awesome episodes with some awesome guests. You can find that link in the notes as well. You can see the full video interview on our YouTube channel and on Spotify now as well. If you want to check out some of our articles, album reviews, lists, and interviews, go to poweredbyrock.com to read our absolutely free rocking blog and also find some merch and gear so you can pick up some items to play and look like a rock legend. That's our show for today. We'll see you soon for the next episode. Until then, rock on.
Supposed to be